when I heard about Little Marvin, who is this director, writer, just
They named her the Queen of Action Flicks. Off the sets, Pam Grier was battling foes nobody was aware of. At age 6, boys who should have been her friends beat her up. At 18, it again occurred. Then, producers in Hollywood attempted to purchase her flesh for film roles. She repelled them all. But in 1988, her biggest foe was not an individual. It was developing inside her. And how she became ill would reveal a secret that shook Hollywood forever. Pam Grier was born on May 26, 1949, in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Her mother, Gwendolyn, was a nurse, and her father, Clarence, served in the Air Force. Due to the nature of his work, the family moved constantly. It made Pam feel she never had a home. In 1956, at the age of 7, they relocated all the way to England, to Swindon. It was a bizarre new world, but Pam observed something remarkable. The children there didn't despise her for being black. She later explained, they were taught to hate Germans, not us. That incident stuck with her. In 1958, the family returned to America and resided in the area around Denver, Colorado. But life was not gentle here. When Pam was only 6 years old, there occurred a nightmare that forever left its mark upon her. She was spending the day at her aunt's home in Swink, Colorado. There she was trapped and assaulted by multiple older boys, including her cousin. They dragged her into a laundry room and raped her. A repairman came by and frightened the boys off during the attack, and then went on to mend the phone in silence, as if nothing had occurred. Pam never forgot that. She described it as transforming her from a cheerful little girl into someone who feared the world. She began to stutter. She said she told nobody for years because she felt ashamed. She was 18 when it happened again. She was date raped, and the anguish she had kept locked deep within her returned full force. She wouldn't talk about any of this until she published her memoir many years later. Pam encountered another harsh reality in the early 1960s, American racism. In England, no one in England even saw her color. In Denver, it was all different. Buses did not pick them up. Restaurants refused to serve them. Pam had once attempted to enter a swimming pool and was informed it was whites only. Even back in 1969, she and her father could not try on garments in some stores. They knew they weren't allowed in, but Pam had roots that ran deep. Her family that came from her mother had fled from slavery via the Underground Railroad and gained freedom in Wyoming. That survival history made Pam strong. It would come to influence the strong roles she would later take in films. At 18 in 1967, Pam competed in the Miss Colorado Universe pageant. She competed not for glamour, but in order to pay her way through college. She was attending Metropolitan State College and required the financial assistance. She didn't win first, but she did finish as one of the highest finalists. All that was provoking in a mixed-race girl back then. And more significantly, someone at the pageant had seen her and provided her with a contact in Hollywood. That's how she acquired her first agent. Before long, she was providing backup vocals for Stevie Wonder and Sly Stone. She even observed Jimi Hendrix's record. She loaded up and moved to Los Angeles that year. But life in LA wasn't glamorous. It was hard. She didn't have money. She didn't have connections. So, she lied her way into a job at a casting agency switchboard and learned the phone system on the spot. She worked multiple jobs just to survive. She was a hostess, a receptionist, even a nude model for art students. She occasionally ate a meal a day and slept a few hours at night. From 1967 to 1970, she held over 40 different jobs. She was doing whatever she could just to keep her head above water while chasing her dreams. In Denver, school had been agony for Pam because she was biracial. Black, Hispanic, Filipino, Chinese, and Cheyenne. She didn't look like anyone else. Children bullied her, insulted her, even physically assaulted her. So she learned self-defense. She studied martial arts, not to learn how to fight back, but to become strong again. Those skills then translated into who she became on screen. She wasn't faking it when she played tough roles in movies. She was. At 19, in 1968, she made a very courageous choice. She phoned that Hollywood agent from the contest and informed him that she was ready. With $200 in her hand, she shared a small 200-foot apartment with two other girls. Her first acting experience was as an uncredited extra in the cult film Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, which was released in 1970. She was paid only $25 but spent those marathon days observing and learning from the actual actors. It was her acting school, but the system was not designed for a person like her. In 1969 and 1970, she was offered only stereotype playing roles: tribes, women, foreign villains, background dancers. The pay was poor, and the parts were worse. All of that was turned around in early 1970 when producer Roger Corman met her at a party. He was impressed by her height and physicality. He cast her in a new movie called The Big Doll House. Pam felt it was her chance. She worked diligently, doing hours of martial arts and weapons training. She even put on 15 pounds of muscle. She was prepared this time. But just when life was going good, a disaster loomed ahead. That same year, she got an invitation to a meeting with a large Hollywood producer. He told her straight out, "Sleep with me or you don't get the part." Pam refused. He attempted to rape her, and she had to physically fight him off. She considered quitting, returning to Denver, leaving Hollywood in her dust, but she didn't. She remained. That inner flame of hers only intensified. Each performance after that was a victory for her in the battle. In 1971, her performance in The Big Doll House was a sleeper hit. It grossed $10 million at the box office, even though it was made for only $125,000. She was a tough convict who performed her own stunts, including one in which she mud wrestled and had to have the scene shot 3 days in knee-high water because a storm blew through and destroyed the set. Roger Corman confessed that the film came out sexier and rawer than intended, but was a box office hit. It started both Pam and an entire genre of women in prison films. The same year, she also appeared as a sadistic warden in Women in Cages. It was violent and shocking. She tormented other actors with torture in scenes that tested what the audience could tolerate. Pam once stated that she wasn't proud of those nude scenes. She felt deceived, used, but the part made her irreplaceable. People couldn't take their eyes off her. She appeared in The Big Birdcage in 1972. She acted a rebel who was orchestrating a prison break with actual guerrilla strategies imparted by old guerrilla fighters in the Philippines. The fight scenes were severe and risky at times. A prisoner was run over by a bamboo mill in one scene. Everything from the movie seemed so realistic because some of it was. Pam wasn't pretending. She was performing her own stunts and employing real training. In 1973, she appeared in Scream, Blackula Scream. She portrayed a voodoo priestess named Lisa who had the ability to cure a vampire's curse. Pam struggled to make the character powerful, not another frightened woman in a horror movie. She did not perform nude scenes and insisted the voodoo aspects be handled with dignity. Although the vampire maintained the majority of control throughout the tale, Pam's character held her own. During that same year, Pam Grier became a legend. In Coffee, Pam played a nurse who became a vigilante when her sister was ravaged by drugs. The movie earned $2 million and cost only $125,000 to produce. Pam wrote one of the movie's most outrageous scenes herself. She stashed razor blades in her afro and employed them in a brawl scene. It was a shock, it was raw, it was unforgettable. That one scene became a poster child for all Pam stood for. Bold, fearlessness, unstoppable. She wasn't acting a hero, she was a hero. Pam Grier never played it safe. In 1974, when Foxy Brown was released, folks weren't prepared for what they witnessed. There was one scene in particular that brought audiences cold. Her character didn't only get revenge. She made it hurt. Once the man who had murdered her boyfriend had been apprehended, Pam's character instructed something vicious. She had him castrated, and then she dropped what was left of him off at his girlfriend's in a jar. It wasn't a stunt done by another person. Pam choreographed the entire event herself. She wanted it to be real. It succeeded. That scene made Foxy Brown about $4 million. But beyond that, it redefined what women could be doing in action movies. She was not a victim. She was the one everyone feared. That same year, she shot the arena where she acted as a female gladiator. She trained with actual swords, got hit, got bruised, and continued. In one crazy chariot chase, she was injured. But Pam was not the type of actress who fled from pain. She ran into it. The film cost only $75,000 and was her second collaboration with Margaret Morove. It was not a movie. It was testament that Pam could survive anything, even in Rome. In 1975, she appeared in Sheba Baby. She applied her actual karate skills to play a private eye battling the mob. But with all that action, the movie was a failure. Black exploitation films were becoming too unpopular. People referred to it as Pam Grier Light because it was not as edgy or violent as Foxy Brown. It was too clean, too safe. That wasn't what people wanted from her. Later the same year, Friday Foster was released. Pam did some of her own driving when she participated in a crazy car chase. She was a photographer turned detective who becomes embroiled in an assassination scheme. The film wasn't all about action. It said something. It addressed the targeting of black leaders. It spoke of unity and the future. It was the last film that she made with American International Pictures. She wasn't employing guns alone anymore. She was employing her mind as well. Also, in 1975, she appeared in Bucktown as Artha. She battled against bad cops in a small town. There was one instance of improvisation on set during filming when she said something about women's rights. It wasn't scripted, but it was so powerful with test audiences that they left it in. It illustrated just how commanding Pam's presence was. Even when she was not reading from the script, her dialogue counted. That film turned out to be one of her final major successes prior to the decline of the black exploitation cycle. And then things changed. In 1981, she played a very different part in Fort Apache, the Bronx. She was Charlotte, an addict prostitute who murders police officers. It was bleak and uncomfortable. She appeared on screen alongside Paul Newman, who earned $3 million and 15% of the profits from the movie. Pam's role was brief but indelible. Critics refer to her as creepy. It demonstrated that she was capable of going dark and deep, but it also began to establish her as broken women rather than heroines. In 1983, she appeared in a Disney movie titled Something Wicked This Way Comes. She was the Dust Witch, but Disney panicked when test audiences didn't approve. They poured $4 million into retaking the movie. Pam scenes were now cut down or eliminated entirely. 5 months behind schedule, the film was released. Disney was afraid to feature a black woman in a fantasy role. They blamed the audience. But the reality was Hollywood did not want women like Pam in magical tales. It was tragic. From 1985 to 1989, she had a new residence on TV. On Miami Vice, she was Valerie Gordon, a New York City detective. She brought actual life experience to the part courtesy of her military background and her family's history. She wasn't simply acting out tough, she knew it. Her plot lines were gritty, tending to find her missing sister and corrupt diplomats. She was tough and vulnerable all at once. That job kept her career going through a tough period. In the meantime,